I'm not going to count this as an official episode, but kind of a reactions thing. We don't often do those. Phil Harrison missed our first recording and was going to get him on. He's has a long memory and a lot of expertise about the song contest. And so said, check back in with us once we see how the contest ended. Here is how it ended. I'm just going to give you the top 10. And then Phil and I are going to start taking the result a little bit seriously. First, Bulgaria, total surprise winner. Bulgaria, song title is Bangaranga. Make of that what you want. Second, Israel. Third, Romania. Song title, Choke Me. Fourth, Australia. 5, Italy. That was beautiful. 6, Finland, the big favorite. Didn't even make the top 3. Denmark, 7th. Moldova, number 8. Number 9, Ukraine. Number 10, Greece. Last, United Kingdom. 1 point total. Public and jury. Second to last, Austria. 6 points total. So an Austrian and a Brit are, of course, eminently qualified to give you their reactions on the Eurovision Song Contest 2026. Here we are, Phil and Philip. Phil, back on the second time, this time as a song contest expert. What's football doing for you, by the way, right now?
Oh well, obviously Birmingham City, my club, they've had a season of transition from winning the League One title the year before and finished 10th this season. Overall, a 6 to 7 out of 10 season, not the greatest. From a writing perspective, my second book was out last year, which was Worst Game Ever, which was 19 stories about the worst game ever in the club's history, really. So that's quite self-explanatory. And I'm just putting the finishing touches to my third one, which is the submission date's the end of June. I can let you into the title if you wish, just as a little taster. It's called Evergreen, and it's called a history of Panathinaikos FC. So yeah. I call it a history because there is no real definitive history. When you speak to fans, it's one of those treading on eggshells kind of stories where if you go the wrong way on it, you could upset half of the support. And if you go the other way, you could do, because there's like two differing kind of ideas of what Panathinaikos is and what they represent. And
it has to do with the history of Greater Greece.
Yeah, and politics, and you know, it's very. I mean, I think Greek football as an entity is quite a political kind of in the footballing environment, and there's some people who love certain people on one half of the club, and some people who don't, and it's a bit a religion. You know, it's divisive like a religion. So that's what that book that book's on its way. But I've had to show a lot of kind of restraint and control in writing it, because you want to get an opinion across, but you don't want to upset somebody. And I'm fearful that as a British person writing about Greek football, you might come over as a little bit of a hack. And I don't want to do that. So I've tried to remain as informed as possible, speak to as many supporters of the club as possible to give a balanced view, if that's possible.
You've tried to really get a sense of the ground and the context and the language. You've done all the homework that the British Song Contest entry didn't do about its European audience.
Yeah, it was a pretty appalling effort this year, Phil. We were talking before we went online, and there was a British broadsheet that ran a story on our song. I use the word "our" loosely.
Yeah, so the title is, we should say, for those who didn't watch it, "Look mal no Computer," and the song title was "Eins, zwei, drei." This is so German for 1, 2, 3. It's a YouTuber.
A guy called Sam Battle, and that was what the broadsheet was basically saying. It was saying that Ukrainian entry, Laleka, she's like a classically trained operatic and jazz singer. She was educated at the Conservatoire of Dresden, and she's got 15 years of composition experience writing songs. And ours is a YouTuber. Yeah. A YouTuber who does these videos about crazy, wacky inventions that he's invented, something that removes biscuits from a packet and things like that. And this is the guy that was deemed, given the weight of responsibility of dragging us out of the Eurovision doldrums into a new, happier place. And it was, anybody who watched it knows how it panned out. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty.
Well, you came in pretty close to Austria, so you should feel honored.
I must say, after last year's Austrian entry, which was, a fabulous vocal performance, I can't say it was particularly my cup of tea because I have a liking of the quirky and the slightly different sounding tune.
The last 2 years, but we are both kind of advanced singers. We should get in it. I just want to make sure I take the time to put a brief plug. Panathinaikos Athens, A History in English. Is coming out, and that sounds like a book that we should talk about in a separate and regular episode of The Assistant Professor of Football. As well.
Absolutely.
Phil, for those who don't know, was on here before because he's already written a wonderful book about football in Albania before the fall of the Iron Curtain, so Stalinist Albania. Lovely and interesting and wild journey. That country is changing fast. You might get to go there this fall. Might. It's on the list.
We might get to go there on that. I recently went there. I went there with my friend Irvin, who was a big contributor to the book. And it was wonderful. It was wonderful. We got to see a lot of the small towns and cities, and I got to have a ground tour of the Salmon Stamasi. So it was terrific. It was a great trip.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should start with that. How did you like Albania's entry this year? Albania came in 13th, with only 9 points total.
Yeah, not really my cup of tea, to be honest, Phil. It's a bit too kind of a bit too downbeat and a little depressing. And I think if you're going to write a song about your mum, at least make it happy and jolly. It sounded like he didn't really like his mum.
Really? Yeah. Well, and she's looming there over the screen. This is watching over his first verses, and then lo and behold, she rises from the dead and appears from stage. And I felt it was one or two notches too far. The emotional ratchet. I felt slightly manipulated.
Yeah. Well, I think if you look at Albanian drama, it can be very dark and very kind of orientated with death and ghosts and
the only country they get 12 points from in the audience vote is Portugal, which also always has sad songs.
Yeah, and theirs this year they didn't quite make it to the final. They didn't make it.
My sister liked them, but they didn't even make it out of the semifinals. Yeah.
Yeah, there seems to be, with Portugal, a basis in Portuguese folk music for a lot of their entries. They rarely do a pop song. I remember dating back to 1998 when I went to see it, and it was a song about, fishermen and, sardines and going out to sea and catching your fish. And so it's very much rooted in kind of ethnic Portuguese kind of culture, a lot of their songs.
Yeah, the Fado tradition.
Yeah, I mean, and when you're in Vienna, when you're in the pit and you're looking up, you don't want to hear a song about that. You want the boom, 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 boom.
You want the boom, boom, which brings us to the winner, Bulgaria.
Yeah, we all learned a new word this week, Phil.
Bangarango.
Yeah. Apparently derives from Jamaican patois, I heard. And it means a riot, a kind of noisy event. That's what bangarang is the phrase in Jamaican patois. I only learned that over the last couple of days after exploring what it meant, and that's what it means apparently. So,
do you recall the Croatian entry 3 years ago? Let 3 with the song Mama Jdu.
Oh, vaguely, mate, vaguely, yeah.
Very bizarre stuff. These were old time punk rockers from Croatia. At the end of the song, there was a dude with two rocket launchers on stage spraying pyrotechnics out, and they sang about psychopaths. And before then, the song was about tractors, and the refrain always had the word "shtu" in it. And then when they were asked what does "shtu" mean, they said a variety of things.
Yeah,
It's a traditional Croatian slang word. It's the sound that people make when they orgasm. It means peace, all kinds of, all bogus explanations. I kind of wish Bulgaria would have given bogus explanations for bangaranga this year as well.
yeah, yeah. I don't think it's a typically Bulgarian word.
No.
But as we said, I didn't know how to feel about the song itself because it sounded like they're taking the opening line, a great hook, and then just attached bits around it. It was a bit of a kind of stick and paste of a song. Well
I felt
delivered.
that too, yeah.
Yeah, well delivered and a good performance. But I think that's the way that Eurovision's been going over the last, since the, kind of after they're not primitive days, but the early days leading to the mid 80s where, for the first 20 years, it was just the face of the singer singing the song. And then it was opened out into kind of visual performances until present day where the performance is everything now. And the song seems to kind of recede from view as long as the performance is really spectacular. And it was spectacular. It was a great piece of choreography that was kind of wrapped around a semi-interesting song, that wasn't really a song. It was like a three-parter, 3 different parts that didn't really connect. But it won it. I don't suppose Bulgaria are complaining, and it will be a nice little boost to their economy next year. So,
yeah, I think their TV station is about to complain, knowing a little bit of what the Austrian station spent this year to host this.
Really?
People in Austria are glad we didn't get close to winning this year again.
Yeah, I thought. To be honest, and I hate to, I know that you're Austrian, mate, but Cosmo didn't do it for me at all this year.
Yeah.
And no number of aluminium helmets are going to make any difference to that song. To be fair, and the Bowie star on his eye, it seemed a little bit kind of too detached. Everything was detached from each other. It seemed like, what was the theme? What ideas were they trying to put over there? I didn't quite get the
lyrics. It took me like 3 times of listening and a few interviews with the singer to realize what the song is about. Basically, the lack of dancing culture in clubs nowadays. And dancing should be more policed. And so the refrain said, "You need a dancing permit," and then at the end, otherwise you'll be an animal. That's the content, but it's. I mean, even if it was in English, I don't think the song would have caught fire.
Yeah, so all heavy stuff there, heavy gravity subjects being explored.
Yeah, Bulgaria's surprise winner this year. I did not have that on any lists that I saw beforehand. When it performed, I thought, top 10 material. We've had 2 classical singers who won it in a row. So some more party dancey tune is probably going to make it this year. And I like everybody Finland on the list.
I like
Sweden. I expected Sweden to be much more up there. I actually liked that song.
I thought it was very good. Yeah, it was the girl with the mask.
Yeah,
wasn't it? Yeah, I thought it was a very, very strong song. I mean, you could have stripped that away and taken the techno beat away from it. It still would have been a good song. And I felt the same about Finland as well. For me, it was a ballad that was wrapped up in dance trappings. You know, it could have easily been stripped away, and the song would have still been equally as effective. You know, with that great violin, accompaniment and a good-looking, nice voice. It had the components of a winner, and it was the favourite. But where did it come eventually? I'm trying to remember where that came. It's some fourth or fifth, maybe.
You mean what place Finland came in?
Yeah.
Just a second. Let me look that up here. Sixth place.
Oh, okay. But for me, it wasn't as enjoyable as Finland's entry last year, Ich Kom, which we've discussed before, haven't we?
Yes, Ich Kom was great. She was on stage again.
Oh, Erika, yeah.
In the interval section, singing ABBA, Waterloo.
Oh,
to Andy Payne's delight, I'm sure.
Was he a big fan as well? And
a big fan of Waterloo back then. Yeah, he said that in the last episode.
Oh,
no,
right.
Not really. Not really.
Oh, he didn't like it. Okay.
Yeah, that came out again. Erika Wickman was on. Lordi was on stage during the intermission. It was a bit of a nostalgia.
That was weird because they were doing a kind of pastiche piece of all the previous winners, weren't they? And it was, but it's good to see Lordi is still wearing the mask after all this time.
Of course. They did before the ESC. That was not just the Eurovision Song Contest thing. Those outfits.
Yeah. But Erika Wickman's doing a tour in Britain in July, so I'm thinking of going to see it because I think it might be quite something to see if you catch my drift.
Oh, second, it's Bulgaria. I'll be curious how they're gonna host it and how that contest is gonna look like. And so it's a first time winner. Not a ton of song contest expertise there, and the choreography this time too they bought that. It was Swedish. It was a Swedish choreography.
Oh, was it? Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Sweden have got the knack, haven't they? They know how to piece together a winning song.
Music machine. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. They're always competitive, aren't they?
Yeah. And now we're in Sofia. We almost ended up with Israel as a winner this time after Israel came in second place after a whopping result in the public vote. So Israel got 220 in the public vote, only 123 in the jury votes. And for a long time, until the very last round, and until Bulgaria was the only one left, it looked like Israel might win. And that's the first time when you heard boo chants in the stadium, in the arena where it was happening. And that put together with reports beforehand of the social media campaign, official governance campaign. So Israel is treating this as a public diplomacy thing, which is not the first country to treat the Eurovision like that, but they seem to be particularly effective at that. So the public voting has been in the spotlight. Here. They got a decent amount of jury votes as well. And when I look through where they got their votes from in the public vote, it's especially surprised that Azerbaijan, 12 points, one of the few Muslim countries participating, and it's not a country with a large Jewish majority that can possibly be France, 12 points to Israel as well. Switzerland, Portugal, Finland, 10 points from the UK, 10 points from Albania, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, in the public vote. So I don't know. I'm inclined to say it's a combination of the public diplomacy effort and the song, but it's an unusually large number of votes, and I think it'll raise some questions, not about any wrongdoing, but how should we weight these things, and how should we weigh politics and the relevance of politics to entries like that?
Well, we all know that the Eurovision, I mean, regardless of the pomp and the camp and the great spectacle of it all, it's an intensely political kind of competition from that respect. It's there's always a kind of subterfuge of voting going on between different countries. You know, you tend to find that Cyprus and Greece are interlinked. The Scandinavian countries are always interlinked, and their votes go to each other. So
Serbia
block vote.
this year got votes from Montenegro, from Croatia,
Mhm.
and from Greece and Bulgaria. So the Cyrillic
All the neighbours,
family.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so block voting isn't something that's particularly kind of, it's not new. And I recall in my very first couple of competitions when I watched the Eurovision for the Song Contest for the first time, probably about 1978, 79. It was still the same then. I recall my mum and stepdad having conversations, going, "Oh, let's guess who this is going to be," and the vote would come through, and it would be, Ireland not giving England, not giving the United Kingdom any votes. It was always Greece and Cyprus sharing votes. It was always
Germany
the
and Austria had a
Scandinavians.
similar thing going for a long time.
Yeah. It's and so there's always been that undercurrent of, wouldn't say foul play, but they're trying to massage the kind of relationships between your neighbours, But that's nothing new. That's been going on for years. But I still thought until this kind of audience voting came on, that the strength of the song, if it's good enough, will carry it to victory. But that doesn't seem to be the way now. I mean, some of my favourite ones were this year were songs that didn't actually qualify from the semi-finals. What I expressed to you, I particularly like the Luxembourg entry this year, and it never made it.
I listened to the whole thing. My daughter liked it, and I did too. I would have totally seen that as a song in the final and as top 10 material. I agree with you.
Yeah. And I don't quite understand what happened there. Maybe that's to do with size of the country and the weight of influence that they have, and maybe it is the weight of influence that decides these factors. These, who gets 12 points, who gets 10 points. If you're kind of one of the, and it shouldn't be like this. Obviously, Eurovision's all about the fun and the crazy and but it just goes to show that this drips into every facet of kind of entertainment and culture. It's always been the way in kind of football, and it's the way in the Eurovision, and I think sometimes people vote for people who can do things for them, if you know what I mean. That's and it's a small kind of fragmented version of kind of building relationships. It's a small piece in the jigsaw of what kind of puts things together between countries. But that said, like I said, it's always been the same block voting, and it's always happened in my experience of the Eurovision Song Contest, which is dates back 40, nearly 50 years now. So
you're going to date yourself.
Sorry, what was that, Phil?
You're going to date yourself.
Yeah.
So Israel, by the way, gave its 12 public votes to Bangaranga.
Okay.
And 10 points to the song that after I saw all of them, and I normally don't watch all of them ahead of time. I don't even watch the semifinals, only little snippets afterwards. So I'm surprised. And when I had watched through all of them on Saturday, I thought, okay, Australia. I think Australia is going to make it. Israel gave 10 points to Australia. Australia did not make it. Neither did another, what I thought is a kind of an obvious co-favorite, Sweden. And then the bookmaker's favorite, Finland, didn't either. These are all similar songs designed to be pop hits. With the broad audience in mind, elaborate choreography. Why did they not fare so well this year, in your opinion?
Well, we discussed this before. I think they were too overblown. I mean, the songs in themselves, the Swedish entry and the Finnish, were kind of great kind of ballads that, if you would have stripped away the kind of techno trappings and the dance kind of, they would have been great songs anyway. The Finnish entry had we spoke about this, we all had all the components of a winning song. You had a good-looking Finnish boy, great voice, fantastic violinist doing the bit, and then you
Flames.
Put the boom, boom, boom over the top. But I feel that's what, the kind of people who compose these songs, I feel that they think that that's necessary because the song in its simplistic form doesn't stand on its own. There has to be the fire and the kind of drama and the you know, the kind of pyrotechnics and the performance to go with it, because it never used to be about performance. It used to be about the song, and now with Banga Ranga being an example of that, I think it's more about the performance. And if you've anchored a half decent song to that performance, then you've got a good chance of winning. I mean, obviously that didn't work out for the UK because
no. And I mean, I would slightly push back against that too, because we had in the last, you know, before the episode we did before the Eurovision this year, the example of Sandy Shaw came up. So Puppet on a String, choreography, barefoot. So definitely performance-y elements in there that made that song particularly memorable. I would definitely say that's gotten way more important since then. But kind of like the pure, you know, judge the beauty of the song, probably about the first 10, 15 years or so of the contest.
Yeah. And then ABBA turned up. ABBA turned up on the scene with the kind of jumpsuits and the glitter and sparkles. And I think, I mean, if you looked at the winner the year afterwards, it was practically identical. They were kind of Photoshop ABBA. 1975 winner. If you look back before, as kind of a little bit of reminders for this show, you know, I look back at every single winner of the Eurovision, and it very much heralded a change in the way groups presented themselves, and even, you know, when you you look to the kind of mid-80s, and there was the Harrys and Bobby Socks, and they were trying to create this kind of fashion that, you know, this idea of what 80s fashion was. Although I always find, and I love the Eurovision, that the fashion around that time was always a year behind. You know, it was always kind of last year's fashions that they were wearing on Eurovision Song Contest. I mean, evidently that's changed now, and everyone's gone futuristic.
There's still participants. I mean, Moldova this year. I think, look at their stage appearance, and I think, God, 5 years back at least, in terms of how you imagined hip hop.
But that's what
was a fun song though.
That's what Walking Through Chisinau is like, mate. You know, it's like walking back in time. It's a country that, you know, it hasn't quite caught up with the countries around it because it's been isolated for so long. But yeah, that's
the song lyrics from Moldova this year were particularly off. I mean, there was a full-throated praise of the country. So they had lines like, Moldova is a beauty. Everything that kind of rhymed and sounds great, they threw in there about Moldova.
Yeah, well, you know, look, at least they did it with conviction.
Was the song titled Moldova too?
Yeah, well,
I wonder if that's a first, that a country runs with a song that has the country's name as a title.
I think but there was a Spanish one that had España in. I'm sure there was one. But no, Moldova really went for it. They really went full national this year.
Yeah, and but fun. I mean, it went over decently well. By the way, since you said the song after ABBA that won, it was Holland, and the song title was Ding a Dong. So Bangaranga, Bangaranga is not the first. Ding a Dong.
Yeah, but it had a really kind of like ABBA-esque kind of feel to it as well. So it was, you have to check it out afterwards. But they all wore similar kind of jumpsuits, and I think it was a 5-piece. So it was 3 males who were playing the kind of instruments, and the 2 girls who were leading. But it was a real kind of paean to ABBA a year afterwards.
Yeah, totally. Costume-wise too, yeah.
And the same with Bucks Fizz. The year after Bucks Fizz won it in 1981, there was about 3 or 4 of the entries who were doing, they're 2 boys, 2 girls, wearing colourful outfits and yeah. So it just
you can guess where they found that.
Eurovision creates fashions of its own making, so it's interesting in that respect as well. It kind of parodies itself year after year with acts that try to duplicate winning formulas. And I love that. I love that about it. I love that there's somebody there who's watching these ones this year and going, right, somebody probably in a kind of writing den somewhere, I don't know, in Baku, who's going, right, what won this year? Okay, what are we going to do next year?
That's right.
Looks a little bit something like that. Yeah.
And you know what? I think that's what France did this year, and it kind of killed them in the public vote. They got great jury votes. It was a 17-year-old, beautiful singer. And that is France had the biggest spread between public and jury. They had 14 votes from the public only, but the jury gave them 144. So that's a clear spread there, where you go quality of the song and the audience may be going, we've had 2 of these win the last few years. We're not doing this again.
Yeah. I think they want a bit of diversity in winner, don't they? Although,
Moldova, by the way, Moldova is the strongest spread between. So the other way around. Moldova only got 43 from the jury, but 183 from the public.
Well, like we said before, I don't think you should let the proletariat vote on matters of music.
Should we? Do you want to have the public vote out altogether?
I would prefer it. Mind you, it's no guarantee of quality either.
No,
the jury vote. I mean, because you as we discussed, you get this block voting. You get different people kind of from different countries voting for certain countries. So it's no kind of definition of quality. It's just keeping your friends happy in some respects. And but I don't like the audience vote. I don't like it. I think it kind of steals something from the competition. And the reason that we can't go back now is because it generates so much revenue for the competition.
And engagement too, right? A lot of social media traffic.
And
viewers too, who want to feel like they have a say in who wins and who call in.
Exactly, and that's just a cultural thing, isn't it? It's a cultural thing. It's not necessarily an artistic thing. I'm not saying that Eurovision's high art, because it evidently isn't, but I'm just saying that it is more of a cultural thing, whereas it should be a more of an artistic thing. But there again, referring back to the UK's entry, could that be considered art? Well, not really, in my opinion. No, not art. Not for me, thank you.
If you would go just by the jury, you'd have still Bulgaria first, and Australia and Denmark with the same points second.
Yeah, they won every demographic. Bulgaria. They won the jury. They won the audience. And also they won the semi-final as well in first place. So we should have seen the signs coming, really. But they were still massive kind of underdogs going in, and I just think it was the performance. The performance was riveting. And odd and peculiar, and it had all the components of a winner, if you look at it like that, because it was energetic, and it had that weird little bit at the beginning where they all had the masks on and the kind of makeup. It kind of,
and then the chairs. You don't normally see dancing while sitting at the song. I found that good.
Exactly. Yeah, it was very different, very different. And I did enjoy the performance. As I say, the song was a bit too fractious for me. It wasn't. It wasn't a real song, basically. But
did you vote?
Yeah. I didn't know. I stick away. I stay away. I mean, we do usually vote, but we were watching it at a party. It was my best friend's son's 20th birthday party. So we were watching it in between lashings of kind of gin and
Yeah.
lager. So it was But I kept an eye on it. But voting became of secondary importance at some part of the night. Although I did watch it throughout. And it was like it turned into a bit of a Eurovision party, which it generally does. We always celebrate Eurovision, although it felt this year, because of the underriding currents of things that were happening, and the kind of countries dipping out because they didn't support a certain nation. It just felt like the mantra has always been united by music.
Yeah,
But
still is.
it didn't really work out that way this year, which is and I don't. People have their reasons for doing it, and I respect those reasons. But it is a music competition. That's what it is. It's a music competition. So in the same way that the sporting arena should be separate, but we all know it isn't, Phil. It's all deeply political. So, everything that happens in every kind of cultural forum has got some sort of politic behind it.
Yeah,
but it's a shame.
Even if you say we're united by music, united Europe, that too is a political claim. That's not. Yeah. Didn't fall from the sky after World War II. That is a political vision that the European Broadcasting Union is leaning into there.
That's exactly right. So that in itself is, it's a double-ended sword. So. Yeah, but
so I think the question is less should the song contest be political. The question is what kind of politics should the song contests give stage to?
Well, I don't think you.
So the politics of unification, for example, is the traditional answer.
Well, that's what you would. I mean, the irony is that like people talk about democracy, but democracy is different in every single country. It's not a fixed mark, is it? It's interchangeable between every country you go in. What's perceived as democracy in one country isn't by another country. So it's all down to where you're at and who's in charge of your country, really. So,
yeah, Australia as a guest, that would have been fun. For a while, it looked like they were going to win song contest in Sydney, and it would have to be like at 2:00 in the morning or something like that.
Yeah, which is or in the mid-afternoon when it's sweltering hot.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed their song. I thought she did a fantastic job, and I wasn't really on first listen because I pre-listened before the semi-final. I wasn't really sold by the song. But when I saw a live performance, I was. I thought she was outstanding. I really did. And it would have been a worthy winner until Bangaranga came along and blew her off a kind of upward...
Off her golden pillar that came out of the piano.
That's it, yeah. She was bangaranged off that, mate. Yeah. By a couple of chair dancing Bulgarians.
Disappointing. One other song I wanted to raise. Fun. So fun entries that have where the goal is a bit of a disruption, where the goal is irony. Clearly, Great Britain tried, didn't work. Greece was the other one of such entries. We didn't have a lot of strong fun entries this year, and I missed that, and I'd say fun in a very generic way. Something unpredictable, something quirky, something weird that's not too produced, right? So not too predictably weird. Greece tried this year, and it kind of fell flat-ish, especially with the jury. I had that song higher up on my list. You too?
I just think that akin to the UK's entry, it was, I've mentioned this word to you, it's too try hard. You know what I mean? Trying too hard to be quirky, trying too hard to be kind of visually outrageous. And, like we said before, people who watch the Eurovision, we love the camp, we love the kind of drama, we love the ridiculousness of it at times. But we still know when we're being patronised.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I felt that those two songs, the Greeks and the and Armenia to a degree as well. You know, that was knocked out they knocked out in the semi. They weren't they?
They were.
It
Is
was
this the guy who marched
notes,
through, who broke out of the office, the wall built out of
yeah,
office boxes or something like that? Yeah.
that's it.
Mhm.
Yeah, the post-it notes guy. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
post-it notes on his suit. Yeah, that was
yeah. And I thought they were trying to work the quirky too hard. You
Mhm.
know, we all love a quirky performer. I mean, the girl from Israel who won with Toy a few years ago, she was quirky, but it wasn't
Yes.
contrived. It was you know, and that's people are quirky, but they don't like it rammed down their throat. Yeah, I think that's what Greece and the UK did this year. They over tried and
Okay.
failed,
Yeah.
deservedly so,
Agree
I
with that.
say.
Mhm. Yeah, no, agreed. That, after all, was my sense too. Yeah. Huh. We talked about jury. We talked about the public votes. I hear that the British broadcaster, in particularly, ripped into our lovely Austrian moderators. Did you catch wind of that?
I did, yeah. They because there was a guy with the purple sash.
Michael Ostrovsky, who's from close to where I grew up, one of my absolute favorite Austrian actors, and yeah, he doesn't normally dress like that. But you didn't like it. The BBC was very harsh on him.
It didn't bother me, to be honest. I thought, I mean, one or two of the things at the semi-final I found quite amusing. I found the return of the milkshake man quite amusing in the one semi-final.
Yeah, they did a song exploring the contrast between Austria and Australia, commonly and confused. That was fun. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it was insane having a girls in lederhosen and then having a kangaroo hopping around on the same stage. That's I can buy into that. You know, that's very Eurovision. So I didn't really have any complaints. I know that some of the broadsheets, if whoever reads them, yeah, I know that they gave them a bit of a slating, but no, for me, they were fun. It was good. I enjoyed it. Although he did deprive Ireland of a win in the head-to-head against, I think it was against the German hosts. They had a little. I don't know if you saw that in the States, but they had a little Eurovision quiz between the hosts of each country's. And it was like a little knockout thing, and the German hosts beat the British hosts by 2 points, but the way the points were distributed wasn't fair. Yeah, I'm totally at one with the UK scoring lowly because they deserve that, but they deserve to win the head-to-head between the hosts, and on that there can be no argument.
Well, good. And other than that, the BBC moderators of the song contest are normally really good.
Yeah.
I think the BBC's broadcast is one of the better ones you can watch.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a legacy of really good hosts. I mean, Terry Wogan was he was funny because he was
legendary. Yeah.
Legendary because he used to. It was just his intonations and little words that he said. You know, sometimes whilst the song was in progress, if somebody hit a particularly outrageous loud note, you go steady on. And he'd just be like that, and it used to. He saw it for all the joy and the hilarity that it should be regarded in, because it's a joyous competition, and we should continue to celebrate it, but watch it without the expectation that you're going to win. You know, watch it for what it is, which is fun, spectacle, high camp, ridiculousness, silliness, drama. Yeah, just everything that kind of excites and interests and makes us feel a little bit human. It's got that, and that's why it remains popular. And I would hate things like, vote, the vote conspiracies and things, things that are periphery to what it should be about. I'd hate for that to ruin people's enjoyment of the competition, because it's there to be enjoyed, and that's my take on it anyway.
Yeah, no, agreed. And one other use, it's a great teaching tool to introduce American students to European diversities and European politics. That's what I did this spring in my European history class.
Yeah,
I had them all pick out a song from, it was supposed to be during their lifetime, and they're like 18-year-olds, right? That says something about the politics of Europe at that time. That was the final assignment in the class, and we had some great little presentations.
Oh, okay. And was that picked from Eurovision songs?
All had to be Eurovision songs, yes.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Well, there have been some kind of intensely political songs, hasn't there, over the years? I'm trying to think of what would your favorite
political
be,
or even cultural shifts, right? So a certain style that gets introduced, or a country that's never won before, and it means something huge because of that, the moment that country is in, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we spoke previously about Poupée d'été, Poupée de sang, and that was kind of the original kind of it was called ya pop, and it was pop that was a kind of.
So this is Americans. If you heard poupée now, that's not what he said. He said poupée, which means a doll.
Poupée d'été, Poupée de sang.
Yes, from the Luxembourgish.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, like 1965, but it was it was anti-pop. The lyrics were anti-pop, and they were about a plastic girl on stage singing plastic songs with false emotions. And it was just a complete diversion from everything that had gone in the Eurovision Song Contest before. It was completely new, and of course, it was like the first written musical accreditation of any commercial success for Saige Gainsbourg as well, who obviously went on to become this prolific writer of songs and film director. But it all started with Poupée de sang in 1965. So.
Now that makes me wonder, when Austria entered Boomerang, this is very in the weeds now, we probably should stop soon. When Austria entered Boomerang, which had a very similar theme and also had performers acting like puppets of the pop industry, 1977.
Yeah, I remember it. I remember it well. It must have been around the time that I'd started to kind of have a kind of vague interest in the Eurovision, because I remembered. Did that actually? I think, did it win it?
No, it came in 17th. The band was the Schmetterlinge, the Butterflies.
Yeah. But I do sort of remember that. And there was, I can't remember, there was a great Finnish entry in 1979 that was supposed to be like a political, I can't remember what it was called, I wish I could remember now. But if you look back at the Eurovisions, it was around 79-80, it was a Finnish entry and it got 0 points. But it was, I think it was called something like Don't Drop the Nuclear Bomb on My Head.
That's inspiring.
Yeah.
Around 1980, you said?
Yeah, 78, 79 or 1980, something.
Yeah, that must have been 1980. They came in last. Was it with a flute?
Possibly. It was this kind of crazy-eyed kind of solo artist who.
Yes, that is probably him. Yeah, look it up. 1980. Vesa Matiloiri.
Yeah, but it's. I think the refrain was "bomb, bomb, bomb, bomb." Don't drop the nuclear bomb on my head. That was the chorus. So
maybe very clear. That kind of song could have a chance again. Who knows?
Yeah, well, it was unambiguous, is what I would say.
Yes, that sounds like. Oh man! All right, Sofia next year in Bulgaria is going to host it. I'm hoping for a little more less produced quirkiness.
Yeah.
For a serious contender from Austria. I really hope that Britain sends some kind of a good kind of songwriter dude on a guitar or a songwriter woman on a piano or something solid. Something
Yeah, I was
solid midfield.
about to say exactly the same word, mate. Just solid. It doesn't matter if we win, but something credible, because we have sunken to the bottom of a very, very deep barrel this year. There's been, and it's been happening for say for a couple of years ago when Sam Ryder came second. It's been awful for the last 20, well, since Katrina and the Waves won. And they were American anyway, so a win by default, so to speak.
Yeah, but win by your former colony. Yeah,
of course. Yeah. Okay.
While we're on this, I'm running this by you. In the last, Andy Payne from West Ham said in the last episode, he'd invite America as a guest to the song contest, similar to Australia, in the hope that America would send something absolutely ridiculous. Public broadcasting station here, which is not a Trump supporting station, would send something very ridiculous. The Americans would place very well, and the American government would find itself having to explain who allowed this. Why the hell did we participate in this nonsense? And even do well. And it would allow Americans to laugh at themselves a bit more. And I found that idea came very close to the heart of Eurovision to me.
Absolutely, I think that's what it is. When you enter the Eurovision, you leave your ego at the door, don't you? Or should do. I know there's some people who do take it a little too seriously, chiefly performers rather than. Well, it's become, and for the countries that they've got a reputation for doing great things in Eurovision. Sweden take it very seriously. Norway, after an inauspicious start, they've started to take it more seriously. And I mean, funnily enough, I really enjoyed Norway's song this year, which was the Jonas Love. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a bit like Killers-ish, like the Killers to me, and I enjoyed that, and I expected that to do a lot better. But the Scandinavian countries do seem to take Eurovision very seriously, and they assign their best songwriters to write songs, and it shows. Results lay testimony to that, don't they? Whereas UK employ a YouTuber as their representative.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3 with a slice of pepperoni. That's a quote from the lyrics. I predict for Bulgaria next year, I predict a Scandinavian winner. And when I look at the final here now, they all fell short of their expectations. Finland came in 6th and was the favorite to win. Denmark came in 7th, and based on the quality of that song, should have done even better. Came first, and I thought it was really good performance too. And then Sweden, big disappointment, 20th. That's really bad for Sweden. And Norway, not that much better, 14th. So they all performed subpar to their standards. I think one of them is going to win it next year.
Yeah. There's got to be a recovery, hasn't there? Yeah.
Well, then we can do the preview next year.
Excellent. Yeah, I'll be more than up for that, mate. We'll have a look. We'll have a little look and see what they've got, what delights they've got to offer us next year.
Yeah. All right. Any one song that people who have not ever or haven't watched this year should listen to, in your opinion? Is there one song that kind of encapsulates? Is it the winner, Bangaranga, or something else? Bangaranga isn't really a song. It's a kind of melding together of three different components with a strong performance behind it. That's what it is. I really liked Leleka Rydnium, the Ukrainian entrant. I really liked that song. I thought she did a fantastic job. But it was too much of a song to win it. There wasn't any great kind of performance element behind it. It was just a girl on the stage singing a song and doing a really good job of singing it. So
But so I really
the
like.
standout thing was that she held that tone for 30 seconds, right? Wasn't that the marquee piece?
Incredible. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what training at the Conservatoire in Dresden does for you, mate.
Yeah, came in 9th.
Yeah,
behind Moldova, which is a beauty.
And that's the Eurovision Song Contest for you in one soundbite.
We'll end it on that. I'm just going to play that Moldova song now. Thank you so much, Phil. It's fun. Thank you for your expertise.
You're more than welcome, Phil. It's always a pleasure talking to you, mate.
Yeah. And next time we hear each other, it might actually be about Panathinaikos.
Yes, I'll keep you posted. I'll keep you posted to the program.
Keep you posted, yeah. Good. Be well. Thank you for your insight.
Take care, mate. Take care.